I am Dr. Cavill here with BCSN GameTime for the 2025 SWAC Football Media Day. I'm here with the commissioner, Dr. Charles McClelland, and the rest of the group here. We're going to have some updates. One of the first questions I think that has a lot of people's attention and certainly is excitement in terms of the SWAC TV. First of all, the logo in terms of the branding of it looks really cool. But let's get into it. What was the impetus? What is the framing of the SWAC TV?
Well, we've been working on this for about 3.5 years, and obviously, when we unveil it, we want it to be done correctly. High definition,
Pull it up just a little bit.
high definition,
Perfect.
1080p,
Wow.
free. We are saying August 1st, but it's already available on Roku. So anybody's watching, go to your Roku station, download it. It's also available on Apple. So all of the other devices will have it up and running by the 1st of August. And we're going to deliver 45 football games. And we're going to have some Olympic sports as well. So all championships. But what it does is it puts every football game that we play on some form of television network.
That's
awesome. We kind of followed the model of the SEC and the Sun Belt. We kind of stole some of their ideas and technology. We hired Steve from Gideo TV to put together an app. So let us know how it flows, how it functions. But, 1080 is going to be great. And we've been working on it for about 3.5 years. And also we think from a revenue standpoint, it's going to set us aside from everyone else.
Mike?
Yeah, kind of building on some of the newer announcements. I heard you talking on a number of about this flag football thing. I know we're in football season, but I know we have one school, I believe, that has a flag football team. What are some of the next steps that you see coming with this flag football?
Well, the NFL is pushing flag football, and when you got a $1 trillion industry pushing something, typically, others follow. So you see it has become a part of an Olympic sport. I'm talking about the U.S. Olympic sports, not an Olympic sport within the NCAA.
Okay.
But I think that there is a push from the NCAA side. Currently, it's not a Division I sport. It's kind of multi-divisional, kind of like ice hockey is, so it's only one division. I think we'll continue to explore it. I think schools will continue to add. I think it's going to be something that on down the line, if it becomes a SWAC sport, you're talking 3, 5, 7 years from now. There's still, with the House settlement, with us having to make that payment, which is going to be $30 million over the course of 10 years, we have to continue to innovate and bring in revenue, which we think SWAC TV is going to be, a very good entity to assist us in doing it. There's going to be additional revenue that's going to be needed for name, image, and likeness because all 12 schools have opted in. So there's going to be additional scholarships that can be offered. So if a football program wanted to offer 105 scholarships, they will have that opportunity. So there are a lot of costs that are out there now that institutions are going to have to determine what's most important. Adding sports at this point, I don't think is going to be at the forefront. But one thing that I can happily say here, none of our institutions to this date have decided to cut sports. There have been others, even at the highest level. With all of this change, our institutions are dedicated to the 18 sports that we currently offer. I think it's going to be difficult to get a 19th sport added as a conference sport. But each individual institution will make that determination. I think flag football is here to stay.
All right. Thank you.
Coming from a NAIA school that actually offered flag football, and I mentioned this to the guys on all the shows, flag football is the next emerging sport in college athletics. And from a cost perspective, especially with all the other factors that you said, it's a very low cost compared to some of the other sports that we have. So I just wanted to throw that in, and I think flag football is a great opportunity especially for the young ladies.
He's talking to me like I'm responsible for flag football. That's a good pitch.
Right.
No, I'm just
maybe the people that's over flag football that would make it a sport.
Let me know when you want me to come speak to them.
I got you.
I can speak from experience. But getting back to this, talk about some of these new dynamics in the ever-changing landscape of college athletics. How settlement came in, seemed like yesterday when we got that announcement, we're getting all these different changes. How do you keep up with this and get this information out to the athletic directors, the presidents, and other people so they can make the appropriate decision for their institution, because this stuff changes every day, it seems like.
Well, one of the good things about being on basketball committee and being chair, it put us in the spotlight nationally from an NCAA's perspective. So I've been selected to serve on several committees. President Quentin Ross, which is our chair, he's the president of Alabama State. He's on the Division I board, and he's also on the finance committee. So there is nothing that goes through the NCAA that the tiny Southwestern Athletic Conference don't have say in. There's a group called the Division I Working Group. I'm a part of that group. We have been tasked to look at the rules nationally and make recommendations. So again, Tiny SWAC is a part of a group of 13 that's going to decide the future of the NCAA. Not a position that we've been in ever. So we are at the table, and I think that's significant. And the basketball committee gave us that platform, gave us the spotlight, and we have continued to enhance. And I think nothing goes on within the NCAA structure that not only we don't know about, but we don't have some say.
Dr. McClelland, I hear you saying tiny SWAC in there, but the SWAC is one of 3 conferences in the FCS to all schools opting into the House settlement, which I think is significant. It's major. It's huge.
Well, not to interrupt you, I think they kind of followed us when we made our announcement.
So we were the first. The SWAC,
Yes.
I would say we. The SWAC was the first.
As a matter of fact, you asked that question.
I can't say we, right?
At my last meeting, NCAA President Charlie Baker came, and it was the day that we announced. He tapped me on the shoulder and said, "That's a good job, Charles. That's game changer." That's from the NCAA president.
Wow.
And we were at a commissioners meeting. We had FBS Power 4 commissioners coming to say, thank you, SWAC, for being a leader.
Okay.
And I think, and I apologize again for cutting you off, that announcement was so significant. What it says is if the SWAC is doing it, then everybody else needs to get on board. And that's what the NCAA president was inferring when he said what he said.
Wow.
So I'm glad you said that and framed that, because my question was going to lead to, we understand even within the SWAC, the athletic budgets, it's a wide disparity in our conference and even among HBCUs and FCS. So if you could just kind of maybe give it a background on opting in for everybody looks like what, because everybody's revenues are different. Everybody's expenditures are different, but for my understanding of the House settlement, everybody is every school has to pay an equal amount. No, see, there we go. I'm so
Right.
explain. I'll get out the way and let you kind of explain and break that down for everybody.
One of the challenges that I've had as commissioner is try to explain scale.
Okay.
And I don't think I've done a really good job. People compare us to the SEC, right? Well, we're not the SEC. But on scale, we have the same impact with revenue distribution to our schools. And on scale, we're going to have the same impact on name, image, and likeness. So, for example, it's based upon the amount of revenue that you have that you can give. So the max is 20.5 million. But if you look at the SEC, Texas A&M, Texas, and Oklahoma is going to have more money than, let's say, a Vanderbilt or another school. So the same scale is going to apply within the Southwestern Athletic Conference. There are going to be some schools that can give more, and there's going to be some schools that can give less. The key is that we're going to be able to give. If you opt out, you do not have that opportunity to give. Therefore, you're going to be left behind. So a school might only have X amount of dollars, and they might have a minimal impact, but that impact is going to be greater than a school that hasn't opted in and can't give. So when we go out and recruit, we've cut out a lot of the negative recruiting. Well, you don't want to play for SWAC. They're not that competitive. Well, we got a championship game that's 3rd in viewership. We have a national championship game that's 4th of all pre-New Year bowl game, and there's a significant payout. So you get a chance to go on TV. So there's no negative recruiting there. Well, what's the difference between the SWAC and the other 11 FCS conferences? We're giving name, image, and likeness. We're on national television. We started our own television network. We're playing in front of sold-out crowds. We're sending individuals to pros. As a matter of fact, The NFL was here yesterday talking to our student athletes about going to the combine.
Okay.
We're the only FCS conference where NFL was physically here talking to our student athletes. So we are attacking this notion of our players are not getting the opportunity. Okay, let's get the NFL here and explain what needs to go on. This is who the Southwestern Athletic Conference is. But you again have to look at it on scale. So what's a $100,000 payout in the SWAC is probably the same as a $10 million payout in the SEC when you start looking at scale. And the last piece of that is we did not put any caps. There are some FCS conferences that are putting caps to say, well, we're not going to give any more than this for an individual player or an individual position. What we're saying is we want the market to naturally dictate what the cap is. We want the market to naturally dictate how much a quarterback is worth in the SWAC, how much an offensive tackle is worth in the SWAC, how much a point guard is worth in the SWAC, and then let the market determine that. And then with all of the initiatives that we have, one of the things that we're talking about in our 3-year strategic plan is creating and pulling some of these dollars from these new initiatives to distribute back to our schools specifically for name, image, and likeness to try to even the playing field.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, one last question as we allow you to move back. Looking at it from the revenue distribution with the SWAC TV, you talked about how that could be a game changer in terms of revenue. One of the things we understood about the House settlement in terms of each Division I program that opted in terms of what they had to pay into the settlement. When you talk about revenue distribution, last year was the highest level that you openly spoke about that the SWAC was able to distribute back to the institution. How does that look for this year?
Great question. Our settlement as a conference over the course of 10 years is $30 million.
Okay.
So each school was on the hook for some $280,000 odd dollars. We were able to help supplement that and defer that. There were 6 institutions that received more distribution this year than they did last year, with even having to pay money back to the settlement. The numbers are going to be
even with paying money back.
Even with paying money back to the settlement.
Wow.
Everyone got close to what they got last year, but there were 6 schools that got more.
Okay.
Our distribution this year was more than what it was last year, and that is the responsibility of the conference to go out and generate these dollars to be able to put back. The reason why you didn't hear the Southwestern Athletic Conference jumping up nationally about us not wanting to pay money back, us saying that the dollar amounts and this whole structure is too much, because we had a plan. And that plan was revenue generating to be able to help offset a lot of this to where our schools do not feel it as significant as other conferences. So when you look at the 990s, I'm on the internet a little bit. I try to stay off of it.
It's a dangerous
But
place,
I know,
Doc.
yeah, I know it's real,
You got to be careful.
but I know they pull our financials. We don't have liabilities. We paid off all of our bills, right? All of our dollars outside of our operating expenditures go back to our schools. So the money that we generate with SWAC TV, and by the way, we have some stellar consultants that helped us put this together, that's going out to help us identify our value. We have top of the line lawyers and consultants now that are assisting us in valuations, what our brand is worth, going out, soliciting, and bringing in those dollars. There is a significant amount of additional revenue that is projected to be made from SWAC television that enhances our brand and allows us to have a far greater level of control of our brand and of our incoming revenue. If we do the things that we're supposed to do, revenue is not going to be an issue. Now, again, I'm talking about scale. As much money as you give these schools, they're going to spend. You look at that from a Power 5 perspective. So I'm not saying that. But we are not going to be afraid of the changing NCAA structure and the cost of being Division I, because we have made a commitment that we are going to be one of the premier conferences in the nation. And we're not going to let dollars hinder us from doing what's best for the overall product of the Southwestern Athletic Conference.
Appreciate you, Charles. Know you got to make your rounds, move around. I do want to take a point of privilege and say, I know your time is valuable in terms of doing a year. And you find a way to get to all the presidents, ADs, see multiple games, very open presence. But thank you for finding time to come to Texas Southern University and visit with our students this spring. Extremely important in terms of the HBCU sports symposium series that we're able to bring, and helping me align and bring some of the ADs to talk to them.
Well, I think it's important. I'm SWAC. I was born SWAC. Mother and father went to Alcorn. So going for Alcorn.
He is SWAC. There
right.
he is.
So
I am SWAC.
Yeah, I am SWAC. And that is what we're supposed to do. I think, my personal story of, going to Prairie View, no scholarships, not getting opportunity to fulfill my dreams to play basketball, staying there, becoming athletics director, moving over to Texas Southern, moving over to conference commissionership is an important, story to be told.
Absolutely.
And I think it's part of my responsibility. So all of those opportunities I embrace and want to do more.
Thank you, Charles McClelland, the commissioner of the SWAC. This is BCSN Game Time. We'll be right back after this next break.